Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome to an episode of Outside the Panels. I'm your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and it seems this week has been the returning guest week. All right, we had Dalton and Wells previously. You may have already seen David with his Kickstarter. So, one of my favorite people that I ever met through the lockdown, thanks to Reed Pop online shenanigans, is Mr. Todd Black. Or should I say Todd back again?
Yes. You gotta back to black. That's just the way it is.
Last time you were on, you were getting attacked by a wasp or a fly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm checking. I am currently fine, but
Yeah.
you never know. And yes, my apartment had like a wasp problem. It has not reemerged, but there's still time. It's not summer yet. There's still time.
Yeah. Get rid of all the flowers, my friend.
Yeah.
All the flowers. All right. So, Todd, what's new with you, sir?
Well, I don't know if you could tell, Johnny. My hair's gotten longer. Isn't it? It's glorious, isn't it? No. Hey,
Sorry.
quiet. It's natural hair. You can't prove otherwise. This is the way.
We brush our teeth. You don't. So I don't know if you have this, but this back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, there used to be an advert how to brush your teeth, and the song goes, "This is the way we brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth.
Yeah.
This is the way we brush your teeth early in the morning." Right.
We had a version of that. Yes.
Right, exactly. Right. Cool. So that every time we watch The Mandalorian, and one of them says, "This is the way," my wife turns around. We brush your teeth, brush your teeth.
I think our version was, "This is the way we wash your hands."
There you go.
Like
It probably
It's one of those two.
Yeah,
One of those two. So
this is the way you wipe your. Right. So apart from your long, non-permed hair, what else is going on?
Well, I've been working on a bunch of comics. Trying to get all these ideas out of my head. I got a couple in the works right now. Hoping to start another one soon.
Cool.
And then the big one that I'm here for today is Tokyo Blade Detectives #7, which is on Kickstarter right now.
Is that well? Can we be a little? We're going to show the video,
Go
even
ahead.
though it is 90 seconds. Just saying. But I have to say, that's not the one I want. Where is it? Where is it? Chrome tab. There it is. So I have to say, before we get into the video, I don't know if you've looked at it, which is a lie because it's you and you would have checked already like a gazillion million times. Not that I know you very well. Todd, you're on currently $919 for a pledge of only $750.
Yes,
You've made it.
we've made it. We got funded within the first, I think it was 4 days, which is great. And I can actually tell you that we actually just got a backer recently because I checked about an hour ago when we were at 50. So we got a new backer already. So yeah. But yes, we have reached our funding goal, and now I'm on my what I call the greedy personal goal, trying to get to 100 backers. So
That's why I got pestered.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Okay. So here we go. We'll have a look at the trailer for Tokyo Blade Detectives #7. Here we go.
Enjoy. Hello, Kickstarter. I am Todd Black, and I'm here once again for another issue of Tokyo Blade Detectives. For those of you who have never heard of this series before, Tokyo Blade Detectives is an anime-style comic set 200 years into the future, where guns are outlawed and only the blade can rule. Laser blades, that is. This Kickstarter is for issue #7, which is the conclusion of our second arc known as The Contract. In it, our main character, Miko, along with Michio, has been fighting off some assassins who are trying to kill off one of their clients. And in this issue, you're going to have big action, some surprises, a new character reveal, and a reference to a beloved anime. As always, we try and offer all kinds of rewards for you to partake in. If you are new to Tokyo Blade Detectives, you can get the digital or physical versions of every single issue we've made so far. So you can get Tokyo 1 through 7 through this Kickstarter. You can also get other comics that I have made. You can get put into our thank you section at the beginning of the book. You can get drawn into the comic, and you can have me help you make comics. So please check out all your options in the rewards section. And as always, please just pledge what you can. If you can pledge $1, thank you. If you can pledge $5, thank you. 10 or above, whatever you can do, we appreciate. And if you can't pledge, that's totally fine. Please just spread the word. You might know someone who might like an anime comic. And I promise you, this is a really cool series. I love every issue we make, and this one's going to be really, really fun. So please check out the preview pages below. Check out the reward options for you, and I hope you'll support our comic. Thanks for everything, and welcome to Tokyo.
Welcome to Tokyo, indeed. That was a bit special, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, I want to note a few things. A, I did tell you it was 90 seconds. It technically was, but my buddy Matt, who edited the video, added the special effects, and that extended it. So mine was still, I was still correct.
Hey, you know, in my experience, bragging about shortness than delivering longness is better than doing it the other way around.
Yeah. So. Well, when I first started doing Kickstarters, like years ago. I sound so old. They said 3 minutes maximum, and for some of the products, I was like, okay, I gotta use the 3 minutes because I have a lot to explain. But at this point with Tokyo, I'm like, you're either on board or you're not, Yeah. So that's why I actually shifted gears. I'm like, okay, let's just recap the series, give a loose synopsis of the thing, talk about the rewards, and be done, because. Most people don't go to the Kickstarters to watch the videos. I mean, unless they're really wanting to know about it. So, and as much as I love seeing my hair, which was in its bigger form, because this is shower form hair. Yeah, we have the poof hair, we have shower form hair. It's a process, but I wanted to just keep it quick, keep it simple. So if people did watch it, they would at least know, because someone else noted in my last one, it's like, Todd, that was a good video, but I didn't really learn about your comic. You were just talking about what you were doing. I'm like, okay, that's a good point, because what if there is someone new, like someone watching this episode, and they're like, what's it about? Well, now you know. So even now, 9 years later, I'm still learning how to do things. So there you go.
It's a great point. I mean, today is somebody's first comic book day. Yeah. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
And this could be the first comic that someone picks up and goes, what's this? And then go from there. So that's a really valid point. We can't just trust that everyone's been around since my hair was short.
Wow, I didn't realize you were around 100 years ago.
And that's the end of the show. Thanks everyone for everyone attended. See you later.
Bye.
All right. So let's have a look at some of the art from the Kickstarter. Please. Let me just share the page again and we can go from there. So people can see what they're going to expect. You've got down the whole lightsabers. Sorry, laser swords. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. You say tomato. You say tomato. I say tomato. It's fine. We're using this image as part of our cover backdrop. Okay, so that's Mika and Misha, is it?
Yes. And then the looming figure is the first tail, aka Rika, who's the head of the Nine Tails Assassin group. So she's gonna be a big presence in this issue.
I'm not quite sure why she's smiling, but never mind.
Well, she has her enemies in the palm of her hands. She's a villain.
Of course, she's villainess.
Yeah, villainess.
Cool. So you've gone the book from when I saw it last. You remain on this kind of dark, eerie type of style with only flashes of light. Is that to try and incorporate some of the anime styling in there or not?
Yeah, one thing I really wanted to enforce with this comic, which is why one of the reasons it took me so long to start this comic, was that I needed to really make it feel like an anime, because this is my tribute to all the anime I've watched and continue to watch. So like there's some great like in issue 5 we had a great starting sequence where it was just the laser swords illuminating, and that was the fight scene. Then you have here with the dramatic lighting, and then you cut to the classic, we're all going to talk in this room instead of fighting, because every anime does that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I love Lon Buvon is the artist, and he does some great stuff, and including a page we're about to get to, which is one of my favorite shots ever. That one. No,
Which one? That one with her?
yeah, she has cyborg eyes, which is
Okay.
more significant than you realize, and we actually reference it in the dialogue. But yeah, Michio in his former life literally cuts her eyes out with his laser sword and calls that mercy.
Oh, good God.
Like, yeah, it's dark and I love it. But and that was another thing, is that there are a lot of animes that will like toe the line. Like,
Uh-huh.
we'll show like darkness, but we don't want to get too dark. And then there's other ones that go,
Mm.
no, we'll cut someone's arm off, we'll beat them to death, we'll make them scream in pain, and that's where Tokyo Blade Detectives is that I'm not afraid to show the violence. I won't get gory, but I will make it clear that people die all the time, including right here in this panel. That's another great page by Lom.
Mate, I've looked through this already, and I absolutely love this. This is my. I get that the cyborg lady might have a better story plot going on than whatever, but just looking at this book, if you want me to get excited about a book, this sort of stuff gets me.
Yeah.
Love the colors, love the action, love how the movement is through that top panel. I love it when you see characters kind of merge through their own movement. It reminds me of those. Do you remember those old Spider-Man comics?
Yeah.
Where you'd see him like coloured in properly at the start of a rooftop, and then you see him at the end, and then every single one would be like a flip or a camera to work out how he got there.
With this comic especially, and I had a superhero series, if you recall. I also had to be careful about this. Is that with fight scenes, it's not just about the characters; it's about the movement.
Yes.
Like, are you a fan of the John Wick franchise?
The first one, I think the first one's very good, very clever. After that, it's just noise.
That hurts.
I don't. You didn't make it, did you?
I know, but I really love the franchise. But the point I'm getting here is that the reason that the franchise, to most people, got better as it went along was that the choreography was as important as the characters. Like, they tried to make every fight feel distinct and special in its own way, and how it flowed and moved, and the way they used guns or swords and whatever. And that's what I have to do here, because if I just have them, clashing laser swords, that's eventually going to get boring. But if we animate the right way, if we add scenes like this where Michio is cutting out her eyes, that's just, here you go, that's mercy. That will give you the feeling of there's so much more going on here while it's still looking beautiful.
I get it. I understand that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. A lot of the fight scenes in John Wick, the first one, are still very well choreographed and very complicated.
Totally agree.
I think the thing that kind of knocks me a little bit is that in the fourth one, they're stood less than 3 feet away from each other, firing bullets and missing. It's like they both went to stormtrooper school. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree that as great as Keanu is in those movies, there are points where I'm like, oh, he's dead. Like, he's dead. Like in the fourth one where they're in the nightclub and he gets kicked off the roof and he hits that pillar square and then just rolls off and hits the floor, and he's like, I'm okay. I'm like, dude, your back will be broken.
It's like, I mean, I'm going to throw John Wick a bone on this one, because it's not the only film that does crappy stuff like this. Everybody loves The Dark Knight. They say The Dark Knight's the best Batman movie. Now, in the same way the first meet the Joker, or Batman meets the Joker for the first time, he ends up jumping off a roof, a skyscraper no less, to save Rachel, and then lands on his back on a car and gets up and walks off. Now, at the end of the movie, he falls from a bridge, landing on his feet, and now he's crippled. So, John Wick isn't the only movie to take this level of absurdity. And I think when I see your art and you're trying to make things look more complicated, more choreographed, to give the more visual treat to the reader, it reminds me, and I know I'm going to say this, and you might not want to hear it, but it reminds me of, the first 3 Star Wars movies, like
Attack, the originals?
No, the Phantom Menace, Clones,
prequels.
The prequels.
Yeah.
Their lightsaber battles, all three of those put together, or any one of them, are massively more complex than anything Luke Darth did.
Oh, emphatically, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the best parts of the prequels. Not that people don't admit that, but no, like Duel of the Fates alone puts most lightsaber battles to shame.
Exactly.
So, and that's one of the inspirations behind these fight scenes is that I want them to feel like they're more than just clashing laser swords. I'm gonna say lightsabers, laser swords. This is the way.
That is the way. What I like about that, your idea, which again I agree with, is that you've come at it organically. So the problems with the prequels is that everything looks newer, everything's better than they are in the present day, and there's a socio-political reason for that. I'm not going to get into it. You, on the other hand, have shown your characters try and get better as the story progresses. Yeah, and I get that this is a flashback element, but still, you're still showing the depth of creativity there in a relevant timeline. So I think that's a well plotted idea that you've kind of come up with there.
Thank you, Johnny.
Well done. Yeah, what can I say? I can say I can be nice. Who'd have thunk it, huh?
I never said you weren't nice. I just, you need to do things like when I tell you to. No.
Killing me. I swear. All right. Okay.
Yeah, and here's our cliffhanger, if you will. Someone's coming down from that roof, and you'll find out in the next page, which is why you got it back. So.
Well, we're not gonna go. It's not there. So, right. So this is the culmination of the second arc, correct? Yes. How many more arcs are there?
As many as I can think of. This is a series, and this is only my second ongoing series I've ever done. The first one was my superhero series Guardian, which is actually part of the rewards here, 20 issues made. With this one, I feel that I could do, not like an anime series, as many arcs as I could picture. And I've already got ideas for arcs like far down the line. Like I know exactly what is going to happen in issue 25, and that issue, when it comes out, is going to change everything. Like that's the whole point of all the 24 issues that come before. It's all leading up to that issue, and then what comes next is a whole new set of arcs and a whole new set of complications. I know about characters that are going to be showing up eventually because of certain plot twists that are going to happen, and I already have an idea of how they're going to connect, the stories they can help tell, and I even tease one of the characters here in those opening 5 pages if you pay attention. So I've taken this from the anime standpoint of, I know this series can last a long time, so how big can I make it? Now, once I'm done with this second arc, which will let me say this correctly, the arc concludes in 7, but then if you recall the last volume, there was a 4th issue that I called the Interlude Saga, and that is my epilogue, intermediary, and prequel to the next arc. And I'm going to have another one here with issue number 8, which will wrap stuff up here and then tease what's coming next. And once I'm done with that issue, I'm going to take a break for about a year, which is what I did with the first volume, and then I'll come back and we'll start volume number 3, so I can get volume 2 out into more people's hands via Comic Cons and work on some of my other projects. So, but this will be one I'll be coming back to for a long time, as long as people are interested in. People seem to be interested because I keep getting funded. So,
well done. It's a credit to you in the book, to be honest.
Thank you.
Right, we'll take a quick break for one of our shows. I don't have anything Star Wars. I don't think. Oh, I'll tell you what. You might not have seen this since the last time you were on there. You like anime? I am assuming you might get a kick out of this then. Okay. So here we go. Time for some K-pop Cosmos. He says.
First of all, J-pop forever. Okay, K-pop can go second. No, okay, I'm kidding. Okay, don't berate me in the comments. I also don't listen to either, but I know many friends who do. So
There you
you
go.
enjoy it. Good for you.
Cool. So it's a monthly show. Freya and Mackie Mark there talk about everything that's K-pop. All I'll say every time I look at that advert, Freya, you promised me fishnets. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Right, we'll go back and have a look at some of the rewards you can get for Tokyo Blade. So here we go. Pledge $1 or $10 because hey, you're feeling flush.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I understand why they do the whole pledge without reward, but they automatically go to $10. I would start with $1.
Yeah.
All right. Like just have it. They're like, hey, pledge $1. Why not? You know?
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, book. There you go. Congratulations. You'll get a thank you email when all said and done. Brilliant. One backer. I wonder who that is. $3 or more gets you the PDF.
Yes.
Massively important. We spoke about this before, Todd. PDFs have to work for Kickstarters, right?
What do you mean have to work?
Well, because you have a what you call it. You have international customers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
PDFs are. I'm not
Essential.
afraid. Yeah, are they essential? That's much better. Like, well, I would hope they would work if I'm sending them the PDF, Johnny.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do I though? Yeah. So they're without PDFs, I definitely would have a lot less backers because, like, the misconception about comics even today is that you could only be a physical comic reader. Like, no. I mean, I read physical comics just because I like having them in my hands, and my parents would be the same way.
I am the same way.
There you go. But there are others who love things like Global Comics or Comixology and or Amazon Kindle. It's just download the comic and play it on there. And that's fine. And the best part for like a creator like me is that PDFs are free to make.
Yeah.
And you need the PDF to send it to the printer, so you already have it.
So for me as an international subscriber,
yeah,
I'm all right dropping $5 on a comic book on a Kickstarter. What I'm not happy about is then having to spend another $25 in postage charges.
Yeah. It's like, oh well, in that case, Johnny, you should up your pledge.
You're getting my time for free. What more do you want?
Well, I just told you. No, but no,
$5.
I totally understand. And international shipping is absolutely a chore for both me and for people like you, because I would love being an international, like sending out to all countries, and I've had to send out to Australia, Germany, England, Canada, Netherlands. I'm popular in for some reason. I don't question why. The check clears, so I don't care. But like, it's okay, how I have to fill out like the customs form, and I have to, and that's if I want insurance on it, which I usually do because I want to make sure that you all get the dang books. But with PDFs, it's like, here's the email, here's the WeTransfer link, enjoy, or Google Drive if it's a big file.
Yeah.
So and that's why it works. So that's why I have multiple PDF rewards, so that if you would prefer it and not have to worry about not just having to deal with the shipping cost, but just getting the comic in good condition. I can't tell you, Johnny, how many times I've had mail go somewhere and it either takes forever, it doesn't get there, or it's an absolute wreck. I have so many stories, and I'm like, how does this keep happening?
I ordered. I used to live in a flat, a first apartment.
Yeah.
I used to live on a first floor apartment, and we had a very small postal box. And I'd ordered. I think it was a Justice League of America comic. I think it was 150. Not number 150. I didn't spend that much on it. And the person had taken the comic and then folded it in half to put in. I was furious.
Oh, I've had that happen. People have messaged me on Kickstarter, goes, hey, could you send me another one? They literally folded it in half. I'm like, why would you do that? And so I have to make, that's the other thing. I have to make sure, where's my envelope? Like when I use the envelopes, I have to like do the whole do not bend stamp on it. And I have to remind the person, like, hey, put the do not bend stamp on it because they will bend it.
Yeah.
And they've even bent it with the stamp on, which makes it even more furious. So it's like, And I feel bad. Like the three most stressful parts of the Kickstarter is this: getting ready to launch, because you're like, did I remember everything? Did I put all the rewards? Then there's the whole Kickstarter itself, because you're like, am I going to get funded and whatever? Which I am funded, but I'm trying to get to 100 backers. And then the last one is the shipping, because you're like, please get there at one piece. Please.
Yeah.
Please let them enjoy the comic.
Please.
Not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard, but it is.
Yeah. All right. So $10. Let's see. Digital copy if you want it, and the actual book in your hand. What's this one? 15. You get your
bring
name.
back up to the big window.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
So I can explain more.
Yeah. So what?
Bring it back up in the big window so I can I can explain.
Fire. What? There you go. That one.
There. Go back up to the 10 one, please.
That
one more. That one. The digital collection. Yeah, that one is perfect for new readers. If you have never heard of Tokyo before, which is totally fine, this one for $10, you'll get 1 through 7 in PDF form for you. A nice simple way to catch up on everything, and hopefully be a lifetime follower after that. And I do mean lifetime. Okay.
He does. Trust me, he does. Pisses me off all the time. Cool. Let's see. So the name in print. You get Tokyo and Todd's digital comic bonanza. So these are different comics that you've done.
This is basically you will get over 40 comics for $15 across multiple genres, not just including Tokyo. And then I even throw in the Sherlock Holmes novels that I've written, just because I'm feeling generous. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Physical copies again, $20, ships anywhere in the world.
Yeah. This is an important one. The comic review. I know that many of you out there might want to make comics, but you're unsure of like how it'll look, how it'll sound, and whatever. If you pledge here, I will look at your comic script and I will give you basically a portfolio review based on my experience and experience that I've had with others, and just tell you, like, is it formatted right? Does it flow well? And it doesn't matter if it's a single issue or like a full-on graphic novel. I will review it for you so that you will have this advice to potentially go forward with your own comic. Because I want to help put more comics in the world, because there are people who helped me get to this stage with Tokyo and beyond. So, and I want to pay that forward. I have multiple rewards to help pay it forward.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you. And then this one is an important one, because if you want to catch up on this series, but you're not a digital comics fan, you will get for $30 all 7 issues mailed right to you. So that's, about $4 an issue. Sounds technically. Right. So that's not bad.
Yeah.
And as you see, we've had some backers on there. Like, that's a popular one. I was surprised by that. It was like, no, I want them all in physical form. I'm like, okay. So there's your reward. And then one of my most popular by far is the getting drawn into the comic, which we only have 4 spaces left. So get in now. But yes, we will draw you or a family member or a friend, or in one case, one of my backers has me draw all 4 of her daughters, and so we actually made them into a J-pop group, just so like they're called the Curry Kids, and they show up in every issue, and I make sure that like they have like a different poster every time, so that and I freaked people out, Johnny, because they're like, who the heck are the Curry Kids? Like, they keep showing up. Like, seriously, it was on another podcast, and they were reviewing the comic, and so they're going over the plot and everything, and they go, I have a question I would ask the author if he was here. And I'm like, okay, what's this? Is it about the plot? Is it about the characters? And they go, who are the Curry Kids? I burst out laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You've created a monster.
I did. I've created 4 apparently. So yeah. So even in my comic, the power of J-pop compels you.
Indeed, that is the way. So let's put Tokyo to the side for a little bit. I've had the pleasure of reading and reviewing some of your other stuff. You've got other projects going on at the moment. What sort of things you got lined up, Todd?
Well, the book that
that you can talk about, of course.
That I could talk about. Well, there's one thing with beep. I has me working beep, and then I got to do these characters with beep. No, the last book that I sent to you outside of Tokyo was 5 Bullets, 6 Men, which is with Source Point Press, a very respected publisher. It's actually my very first publisher work, which I was very proud of when it released last year. It's actually a year old now, which really makes me feel old.
Does not feel a year since I looked at that book.
I know, right? I know, right? But yeah, it came out a year ago, and I remember that because it came out like 2 weeks after a major con I was going to, and I'm like, hey, can I get like some of the advanced copies so I could sell at this place? And they couldn't get it to me, but I made it work. But yeah, it's been out a year. It's a film noir style comic about a detective solving the murder of 5 murdered gangsters, and it's a one shot, so whole story's right there. And I love doing this, not just because it was a publisher work, but it was another challenge for me of, okay, this is like a little old school. How do I like nail the feel? The look was important. My artist, Alex Garcia, I felt really did well with the noir black and white styling. Nailing the feel of like the detective, while also trying to create like a unique mystery was a lot of fun. I really do love mysteries. It's why I often try and make mystery stories. I even have one in the works right now, which is not NDA, but I'm just not going to tell you about it. And sorry, Johnny, but I love mysteries, and there's so many different kinds. Like there's noir, and there's like Sherlock Holmes style, and then one that I'm working on, which is, let's say it's more like Scooby-Doo kind of, And
I would go away with it too if it was those pesky kids.
Yeah, exactly. Meddling kids, get it right.
Whatever.
But I loved creating that mystery, and the fun part is that there's a twist that about. And when people come back to me and say, like, I really enjoyed the book, the first thing I ask is, did you see the twist coming? And some of them do, and some of them don't. And I'm like, okay, so I did my job because I got some of them. I got some of them, Johnny.
Well, even sometimes, even if you see the twist coming, it's still enjoyable, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's played the right way, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I mean, I like to go when I read comics. I want to go in with an open mind. So I tend not to try and think things through, because I think if I think things through, then I'll probably get it. So I just kind of go in as if it's like a brand new thing. I don't know anything about it, and just go for it and see what happens. And sometimes I'm surprised, other times I'm absolutely not. But sometimes it's the journey, not the destination. So that's why I love it.
That is actually the mindset that I have done my best to adapt to with like recent movies, because especially like Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Comics, the hype and the expectations and like the internet noise is so drowning. And so I try to go, even if I'm not excited for a film, I try and go in with an open mind and say, okay, look, I know I can like this movie. So if I just let it wash over me and, see what it does, I might like it. I might not, but I might. And a great example is for Marvel, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania when it was an open mind, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was incredibly mid, definitely one of the worst ones, and the box office totally backed that up. But in contrast, I went to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 last weekend, and I was like, I do hope it's good, but I've been hit or miss with James Gunn over the years, and I came out, I'm like, that was a great movie. I liked it. It was fun. Was it the best? No. Well, did I enjoy it? Yes. And
I'm worried about the DC Cinematic Universe with James Gunn in control, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'll say this now as my bias will show. I'm not a huge Marvel movie fan. I think the Captain America movies are absolutely by far the best of those. Although the third one's an Avengers movie, not a Captain America movie.
Thank you. Yes. Like, people want to make that. I'm like, the whole point is it's Avengers going against each other.
But the telling factor for me was my wife. When my wife came out, and my wife loves the Marvel movies, and she loves Guardians, although Guardians 2 was a bit weak. She was like, well, we're not going to buy that. And that's her the thing. If she likes the movie, she'll go and buy it. If she doesn't like it, it's like, I might watch it when it comes to Disney Plus, but I'm not going to break any,
Yeah, I understand.
So it's interesting how it seems to me that box office money means it's a good movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yay, it made $1 billion in the first weekend. Everybody loves the movie. No, people want closure because it's a third movie. So we want you're gonna get the crowds to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is there is a line. There is absolutely a line. And we could do a whole podcast episode on this, I'm
we
sure.
could.
But I'll be here if you want.
We should.
I will be here to defend the Snyderverse. You're welcome.
I don't mind the Snyderverse.
See, now we're friends again. We're working. See, you hurt me with John Wick, but you got me back with Zack Snyder. I knew I could count on you, Johnny. But the thing here is that there is absolutely a bias in, I don't want to say the fans' minds, but definitely the publishers' minds, that like the studio's minds, where the more money that it makes proves its staying power. I think that's a good way of putting it. And the problem is that there are still good movies that don't make as much money as everything else. I'll give you a great example. The first Shazam movie. I haven't seen the second one, but I've already heard like middling things about it. But I like the first one. It only made like $300, which was profitable. You know, it did its job, but you know, when you compare that to even the lesser Marvel movies, that doesn't stack up. It's like because to most people, they don't know who Captain Marvel / Shazam is. I do. He's my favorite. I have a poster of him right there. But, and I totally want to write a TV series with him, and I totally don't have 62 scripts already written. But I do. I like to write. But that's a good movie, but it didn't make a lot of money. And then there are other people who will look at, say, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That movie, in comparison to the first film, did not do as well. Like, not even close. Like, the first movie made $1 billion easy, and the second one didn't. So is that movie bad? No. I don't feel it's as good as the first one, but I still really, really liked it. I loved how they handled T'Challa's death and Namor and certain other things. But there is no denying that it did not compare to the first one in terms of box office revenue. But that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. So there has to be a line of a distinction here.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in this one, Todd, because I think early doors Marvel universe, cinematic universe, it was going from strength to strength. Iron Man 2 made more money than Iron Man 1. Iron Man 3 made more. You know, it's that ongoing thing. Sooner or later, the market's going to drop because you know what? Unlike your light blades fight in Tokyo, you're doing things differently to keep people's interest. In Guardians, I'll use this as an example. I don't need to see Groot back to back with somebody spinning around firing his guns. I must have seen that guy like a gazillion million times already. It's nothing new.
No.
So, you know, and I think very much. I think superhero fatigue has set in.
Yeah, and that is the term that's been flowing around. And I have my own view on this. Are there too many properties?
Well,
yes and no.
So let me give you just a starting point, just to kind of kick us off on this discussion. I remember years ago, Star Trek Next Generation was the only Star Trek you could get on TV, right? And then you'd have to go to the pictures, the cinema, to watch Captain Kirk and Spock and all them. Then Next Gen moved into Deep Space Nine. That merged into Voyager, and there were still Star Trek movies being made with the Next Generation crew. At which point, the franchise, movie-wise, was broken. Why would people go to the cinema to watch a show about characters they could watch on the TV? And with Marvel in particular, I'd say Marvel in particular because over here in the UK, we don't have the DC, HBO, whatever it's called now.
Yeah, it's called now. That's pretty good.
But we have Disney Plus. So I don't need to go to the pictures to watch Wakanda Forever, or as I like to call it, Wakanda Forgettable. I can just wait for it to rock up on Disney Plus, and that's exactly what I did. You know, so for me, I'm not sure there's too much product. I think there's too many different ways to watch the product,
and that absolutely is a factor here in the age of streaming services. If I recall correctly, just to use DC as an example, like Black Adam was on HBO Max 6 weeks after it started its filming or its film debut, which is not an insurmountable amount of time. Like, I know you'll remember this, Johnny, when you watched a movie, you had to see it in theaters because it wouldn't come out to video or DVD for like 6 months after. Now it's like 6 weeks. Yeah. So like that was an interminable amount of time. So you had to go to the theaters. For me, what this really boils down to, and I'm going to cite specifically the Marvel Universe because they've been doing it for longer, it's not so much about too many properties, so much as it is about not meaningful content.
Oh, okay.
Because think about it like this. We had, at the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there were the phases. And I know we're in phase 5 right now, but just go with me on this. The phases were all about the movies. And those movies at times were only 2 to sometimes 3 a year if we were lucky. So, we started with Iron Man and Hulk. Then we got Captain America and Thor. And then we had the first Avengers movie. And of course Iron Man 2. But we don't talk about that one. It starts to build. But now we got, you got so Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But to understand that one, you had to watch WandaVision, which the people who wrote the movie didn't. And then you got to go, wait, don't forget the new Captain America movie coming out in a couple of years. But to watch that, you have to watch a Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And while this could work well if handled properly, between the movies and the shows, there's this disconnect about what they're trying to do at times and what they feel is meaningful content. And a great example here is which one should I use? Let's use She-Hulk, because that's a good middle of the road one. I did not get the hate for She-Hulk. I liked it. Was it the best thing ever? No. Was it the worst thing ever? No. But I enjoyed it. But like, did it need to be there? Like, they made She-Hulk because, and if you know the history, you know why I say this. They can't make a Hulk movie. They can't make a Hulk TV series. There's a rights issue. That's why Hulk was a supporting character in She-Hulk. And most people don't know or don't care about She-Hulk. Now, those who do know her love her, and I've read her in the comics. Charles Scholl and Dan Slott have done amazing work.
John Byrne.
Yeah, there you go. Done amazing work with the character over the years. But most people don't know her, and then they went this completely comedic route, which is fine because that's who she is in many of her comics. But most people don't get that. And so they're expecting one thing, and then they even made fun of the whole, we need a super climactic battle like that weird season finale. And then they brought Daredevil into it, and it was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then something like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, where the first 2 Ant-Man movies were very self-contained. It was all about Scott Lang and Janet Van Dyne and the family and all them, and the Pym family. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing Ant-Man beat Kang. Why?
Yeah.
They're forcing the issue instead of just letting develop the characters, which in contrast, Guardians of the Galaxy did that beautifully. They focused on the characters and let the story evolve from there.
I think you've raised an interesting point with She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk didn't know its audience, and I think She-Hulk's main reason for existing was to drive internet traffic. When that show was on, I couldn't go anywhere without seeing something about it, good or bad. There was always someone on Twitter banging on about it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, because I want to make sure that no one is misinterpreting us. Again, we like the show. The show was fine. How do you say her name? Tatiana Maslany?
I have no idea.
I can never say her name. I'm sorry. I can never say her name. She was great as Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk. I adored her. She was great. And she
was better in that than Orphan Black.
Oh, and you're a Brit. That hurts. Like I heard nothing but amazing things about that show. Like that. Oof.
My wife loved that show. She watched it like religiously.
Yeah.
But they just got too much. It was like there was just too many of the. It's like Alias to an extent. Right. So in Alias, you go through a season believing she knows what's going on, then somebody turns around and says, "Oh no, but you don't." And then later on in the season goes, yes, but you do. And
that's a problem.
By the time you end of the season, you're like, I am too far confused to care one way or another whether or not she's working for the good guys or the bad guys.
Yeah.
And the same with Orphan Black. It's like, we've written ourselves in the corner. What shall we do? I know. Let's throw in another clone.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It just got ridiculous.
And then, speaking of ridiculous, another problem that I feel, I know many other people feel about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that they're kind of losing. I'm going to say this, so don't mock me. They're kind of losing their way because they're more focused on the action comedy versus the characters. With the biggest example for me being Thor: Love and Thunder. I hate. Oh, you said you hated it? You said you hated it? Thank you, Johnny. See, redeemed in my heart. But that was such a horrible movie, and I see people defending it and then bashing Zack Snyder because of what he did with Superman. Like, I'm sorry, there is nothing that Zack Snyder did with Superman that is anything close to what they did with Thor. Like, not even close.
Yeah. Thor was terrible.
And
I think
that's a perfect example of like they're like, hey, why don't we make Thor even more comedic, and I just let Taika Waititi do whatever the heck he wants. And now I'm just like, why? Why would I want to watch that movie? I've never watched that movie again outside of the theaters. If you have never seen the Honest trailer for it, highly recommend it. That's the closest you'll ever need to see to a rewatch because it completely destroys it. And it's like, I don't want Thor 5. If that's what we're getting, I don't want Thor 5.
I think they kind of got pigeonholed, didn't they? The first Thor movie is funny, unintentionally funny, because it's a fish out of water. Yeah, that kind of extrapolates more with Ragnarok after Dark World, because he's like, oh, the new planet, and he's lost his hammer and all that, so he's totally out of water. After that, it kind of, just. I think what's happened for Marvel is that they have lost not their way per se, but they've lost the characters.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no Steve Rogers. There's no Tony Stark. There's no T'Challa, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So although that's not Marvel's.
No, it's not on Marvel, obviously.
But Hawkeye, Black Widow, all these characters, they're done. It's done. It's done now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as DC find out to their own demerit, you take Batman out of the DC universe, and nobody's going to the cinema to watch a movie. So they have to even put Batman into the Flash movie to get people to go and watch that.
It's true. Two Batman even.
At least I've heard there's a surprise end Batman.
Ooh. But yeah, and obviously we're just two fans.
Yeah.
We're just two fans who wonders about this stuff, but you can see the patterns. You can see, I honestly want to say complacency. Because when you look at like you mentioned Hawkeye and Black Widow, you will not find you will find very few people who would consider the Hawkeye series or the Black Widow movie as top tier Marvel. They almost just feel there because they're there too late. Like, oh, what can we do with Hawkeye all these years later? Hey, let's throw Kate Bishop in it. Hey, what about Black Widow? Oh, we can, introduce your sister that's never been mentioned before. Yeah, and there is hope. There is absolutely hope. And I feel that her name is Kamala Khan because I absolutely love Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. She is absolutely wonderful. Her series, not so much, but she is a shining light in this darkness that is the MCU.
I watched a couple of episodes of Miss Marvel. Not my cup of tea because it's not aimed at me. It's not aimed at a 51-year-old British guy. So it doesn't hit me as much as it hits other. I know other people absolutely rave about it. So hey, each to their own. But I am looking forward to the Marvels.
And she's another example of, quote, losing the character because they had to entirely change her power set just so they could do the whole Marvels movie, which I'm excited for. But it's like you had to change. They changed her from an Inhuman to a meta with a gauntlet to now she's apparently a mutant. Okay,
don't be started.
I know it's that one is partially comic accurate, but I will leave that alone for our next conversation. Also, back to my comic.
Right. Yes. Back to the comics.
Back to the comics.
An interesting digression as it has been. The Tokyo Blade Detectives number 7 is live now. You have still only 20 days to go before it runs out. It's already funded. All right. So that means if you're nervous about going to Kickstarter and saying, well, I'm umming and ahhing about it. Will I get my book? Will I not get my book? It's funded. You're going to get your book. It's 100% guaranteed.
Well, so, unless the postal service screws it up, but that's not on me.
But yeah. So if you're worried about transport costs, postage costs, get the PDF. Simple. All right, simple as.
Yeah.
And that way you're still funding the book. You're still supporting Todd in his comic book career. I have had the pleasure of seeing Todd thrive over the last couple of years in his writing. I've seen a couple of his books, not just Tokyo Blade, and I can say right now, as energetic as he is on this show, he is twice as passionate about his writing. So, Todd, thank you so much for that. Definitely. Of course, Todd's Twitter is there, under there at Guardians_comic. Get following for all the Tokyo Blade and other things updates. Don't give him loads of John Wick hate. Thank you. Save that for me. What can I say? Yeah, man, I'll take it. I'll take the hit for you. That's cool. Cool.
Just don't kill my.
Don't kill my dog. Right. Don't steal my car. All right.
Yeah.
Todd, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you again, man. Absolutely
pleasure,
thoroughly
Johnny.
enjoyed it. Always. Thanks for reaching out. There you go. Right, that's the end of the show. Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows. Even if you like J-pop, K-pop might be your thing as well. I don't know. Is it similar? Is it similar? I don't know. I'm a Comic Crusaders fan. What do I know? And of course, if you like your comics, Marvel Star, you've got No Price Podcast. And for you DC fans, The Definitive Crusade. And that's pretty much all we got for today. Todd, thanks once again.
Always a pleasure, Johnny.
Excellent. I've been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes. And as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.com, all about comic pop culture.